So I rolled out of bed, poured a cup of coffee, put on the first thing that I saw, which happened to be my wife's sweatshirt, and holy crap, is it itchy. I'm instantly regretting this. But we have to talk about what happened yesterday. I'm going to try and give you guys a full TLDR of what exactly happened on yesterday's live stream, a full release, a discussion on Wuyang's release and my thoughts after having early play tested him and played a couple of games yesterday. As my cat foods goes off. Discussion on oddball characters, and then also discussion on a ton of new perks that were released. First thing we're going to talk about is the whole oddball thing, and I'm only really going to touch on this briefly because it was, shocker, something that Twitter took away and just completely ran away with and construed out of context, and even the initial article was like really misleading. I'm not going to tell you guys exactly how to think or what to think here. This is the full statement on discussing it. TLDR here is that it was massively misconstrued, and I encourage you guys to just pause the video and read or do the research yourself on the clarification, because I'm not going to tell you exactly what to think. You guys make your own conclusions, but this is why we don't knee-jerk response, social media outrage. This is just like par for the course of this kind of stuff, but obviously that won't get as many views and likes as the initial negativity was, but that's just the world that we live in today. So moving on from that, I guess we could talk very briefly about Wuyang. So Wuyang's the play-tested support for this weekend. I was able to play-test Wuyang back in December with a couple of other content creators. They invited about 4 or 5 of us out there to play-test a lot of different things and a lot of different characters. We play-tested as Overwatch Classic. We tested 6v6. We tested Hazard. We tested Wuyang. Who else did we test? Freya. We tested Freya, and we gave a lot of feedback on a lot of things. Now, one of the initial feedbacks that we gave was that Wuyang's healing was was too strong. Like, his healing was a lot stronger back then. And so while I was busy playtesting some of the other characters, I did play a couple of games with Wuyang, and it's pretty clear that his empowered heal was like way too strong. I can't remember exactly how much healing it was or how much resource he had, but it was way, way, way too strong. As of now, I think they fixed that. Some of our other feedback, I think, had to do with some of the wave and the way that the ultimate felt. But mostly, for the most part, the guy's kit has stayed pretty close to exactly how it was initially tested at that point in time. And then playtesting it in February is the same as well. Now, in terms of his state right now and whether he's good or not, I've only played a couple of games since then, so I think it's just something that needs to be tested a lot more. But honestly, he's pretty fun. He's, at the very least, very unique and doesn't necessarily provide a ton of free value. The things to keep an eye on in terms of power are definitely going to be his single target burst heal, which is a lot, especially if the target has been preemptively waved, which is basically a friendly nade effect. It's the exact same thing as an anti-nade on your teammates. And that's going to be something to keep an eye on. In terms of mobility, it's pretty limited. One of the feedbacks that I gave for his wave, which we'll get to in a second, is I really wish that there was a little bit more tech with it. Not something crazy, but you guys know me, I'm a mobility creep guy. Because his jump just doesn't really get you anywhere, and the movement speed isn't that fast. So I think the movement speed is fine for exactly what it's supposed to be. And I kind of draw a... what are my words were failing me here. I'm drawing a relation a little bit. It's similar to Juno's glide boost is basically what I'm trying to say, right? And doesn't need to be very fast, but the difference between this and Juno's glide boost is that Juno's also has a double jump. Juno also can ledge catch, so if you guys didn't know that, like, she can basically gain verticality by like sliding along the walls. Whereas this is just not really a lot. It's like, what's the point of the jump? There's so few situations where this is useful. And I've always felt that this guy would benefit a lot from having something like a wall jump that he can do once, where he can jump here and then double jump off of the wall. So he'll catch the wall, boom, and then jump again to get yourself a little bit of additional height. Just enough to be able to get to some high grounds. Just to introduce some fun tech or something along those lines, because as it is right now, it feels like this cooldown doesn't really do a whole lot. It's one of the most limiting cooldowns, I think, in the entire support cast, which is like it's just kind of odd. It's just an odd mobility cooldown. But I think wave is okay. I think they could be a little bit better with in terms of the way it goes up and down, the way it traverses verticality seems a little bit more limited. But honestly, they may need to be careful with that, because it is pretty powerful when it comes to buffing teammates and so on. So I'm not going to go down the list of full things to know about Wuyang in terms of like where his place is in the cast. I would say he's neither really clearly a main support from the traditional professional definition of short range support, like a Brigitte or Lucio. He doesn't contest short range space super effectively, even with waves, so we'll keep an eye on that. Nor does he have like crazy long range, although it's okay. It is a little bit harder to hit shots at range, and it kind of takes your full attention. And in addition to that, his healing also is a little bit more limited at range. So like you can heal here, but that's about as far as you can heal. And so I think that we're going to have something that's a little bit more of a hybrid, a little bit more in between, something that's probably going to be spending some time helping DPS on off angles, maybe tealing your tank from main while poking out. He's not really going to be a very high damaging character, but he's going to have a high damage focus character. So a good way of looking at this is like a different reimagination of a character like Idiari, who doesn't really do a lot of damage, but is really good at securing kills or applying very fine, very specific, accurate points of damage, right? So Idiari doesn't spam out a lot of damage, but she does a lot of effective damage to targets to finish off kills. And that's kind of the impression I get from Wuyang as well. It's not going to be vomiting out a lot of damage, but his damage will probably matter a lot when and where it hits. And unlike Idiari, he has the ability to reposition a lot more and even has a little bit more interesting utility as well. His ultimate's like pretty darn cool as well. So that's about all you need to know. If you haven't play tested, I highly recommend you do. Get a 5-stack of friends and rotate so you don't have these absurd queue times right now. And that's about all I got. Now, the more interesting thing that I want to talk about, because I'm a nerd like that, is I want to talk a little bit about the perk changes here. So there's a ton of perk changes that they've put out here, and I'm going to pull these up really fast here. Yeah, let's look at these really fast. So there's a lot of perk changes. I'm not going to go over the full live stream. I recommend that you guys do if you do have the time, because it elaborates on some of the philosophy behind some of the perk changes. One of them is that the minor perks are going to be a little bit more just like free value, a little bit of power creep, just like it's a fun little bonus. It's nothing huge, but it's a bonus. And then they want the major perks to be a little bit more transformative, which implies that it's going to change slightly how you play the character and may even have a trade-off. Now, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole here. This is not a perk discussion, perk guide. I definitely think that power creep is, I mean, it's unquestionably in the game, and I think we've gone beyond power creep. I think we're now power marching. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing for the game. It's just something that they're going to have to keep an eye on. And again, I'm not going to bring my own opinion into this too much beyond the individual perk design. So these are the ones that were just released. These will be for Season 18. And we're going to focus on the changes here. And they demonstrate a lot of these in the live stream. So if you want to see these done live, go and watch that live stream. So first one is Venture. Drill dash distance is 50% longer while burrowed. This removes the stealth detection one, which is very niche. And so this one just allows Venture to cover distances a lot further underground, which I think is pretty interesting. It uses your cooldowns to be able to traverse more distance. And it is good. And it's going to be good in certain situations when you're having to traverse long distances. And having to choose that over excavation exhilaration is a pretty big trade-off here, so this is pretty cool. I think it's an all right perk. And this is when we start to have problems. So Covered in Dirt is, I believe, a bugged perk right now, but it's a decent perk situationally, even if it wasn't bugged. And they're trading out the range for Empower Smart Excavator with E, which is going to be a new button input to increase its maximum projectile range by 100% for 4 seconds. This is ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This was probably the worst thing that they showed on stream yesterday. I think they even realized it in the moment of like, whoops, this is really, really absurd. It literally allows Venture to shoot 40 meters away. Like, I'm going to demonstrate. Like you'll see it in the playtest. Like they're like, it's ridiculous. Like it's so silly. Like it completely. Like, so one of the things I talked about on stream yesterday is that like the way Overwatch is balanced is that there are characters with range and then there are characters with mobility and then there are characters with both. But if they have both range and mobility, it's usually kind of somewhere in between. But with this perk, Venture with E is literally hitting shots from this distance on that training bot. Like, I'm not joking. Like, you're literally hitting shots from this distance. So even if it might have been that the perk was bugged, right? Because I don't think Venture hits shots. Yeah, so it'd be more like if it was working properly, it'd be more like here, but that's still like absurdly long range. And Venture doesn't need that, especially with that other minor perk that allows you to cover distances more effectively. You don't need that range. So I think they really they burnt down the kitchen with that one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think Venture really needs significantly more range at all, and any perk that leans into that needs to be really, really careful to not give Venture essentially all the upsides with no of the downsides, because the downtime of this wasn't really significant enough, especially because Venture's more of a cyclical character anyway that doesn't want to be poking from range all the time. So Venture's gonna be poking from range with E a million miles away and then go for a burrow cycle, and it's just infinite uptime. It's not good. Wrecking Ball, roll impact, pack rat. Okay, they don't show the Wrecking Ball one here. This is a bugged UI. Somebody screwed up with screenshotting this, but basically he has a parry. And what it means is that he's losing, I think, 50 overhealth with his shields. So he's only losing a little bit of shields on his This is a major perk replacing the shield share one. He still has shield share. It's just not the shield share perk. And it's replacing some of those shields with the ability to parry for 1.5 seconds, which means that I think he is immune to CC for 1.5 seconds. Now, for those of you that are fans of the chat, you guys know that we've been asking for a parry for a long time. But they even use the word parry here, and I'm trying to not be a butt here. It's not all negative. I promise you, it's not all negative. Just getting some of the negative ones out of the way first. That's not what parry means. Parry is a timing thing. You have to time it at the right thing. It is a maybe it's semantics, right? But 1.5 seconds is not a parry. And so my concern with that perk is like, I want a parry for Wrecking Ball, but it's the same problem with Doomfist's Power Matrix. They didn't give him a parry. They gave him a matrix, right? Which essentially breaks the character. It makes it much easier to use than it should. The whole point of a parry is that you're choosing to outplay the target, which gives both sides of the equation a little bit of autonomy. Like, you have to time things well. I'm not sure what the visual indicator for that's going to be either. I hope it's going to be clear. So 1.5 seconds for only a little bit of overhealth loss is like not great. That's kind of busted. Like, he's just going to eat a lot of CC and just ignore all of it. I think something that's at least, at most, 1 second, probably closer to 0.5 would make a lot more sense, because one of the things about Roadhog Hook, Cassidy's Hinder, Sleep Dart, and so on is that they do have unique animations that you can and should react to if you want to be a high-level Wrecking Ball player. And now you have something to deal with that. But it's 1.5 seconds. So again, it crosses the line here from like, okay, I see the idea there, but it's not executed in a way that actually is consistent with the way that skill play should be executed in a game like Overwatch. Echo, focusing beams range is increased by 4 meters, so that means her finishing, and movement speed is increased by 10%. This one was okay. I wouldn't mind if they didn't do the beam increase. I think that might be a little bit too much. Both of these seem a little bit too much for a minor perk. It does make the beam a lot better. So, like, again, for context here, I guess I can pull this up really fast again. I keep need to stop leaving the practice range, man, because I keep wanting to demonstrating these things. Again, they demonstrate them on stream, but I think just visually exactly like how much further 4 meters is. So if you look at it right now, I'm trying to think what beam range is now. Is it like 14 meters? Something like that? Yeah, so like 15, 16, yeah, something like here. We'll try it. So what you're thinking here is like, if this is beam range, that's going to be extended. Let me kind of demonstrate that. That's going to be extended by another 4 meters. So it's going to be all the way to here, which is a little much. Once again, kind of being a negative Nancy about this, because it's also with the movement speed. So the nature of perks, I've realized, is that basically every perk sounds broken on launch, but not all of them are that bad. This one might be one of those that's not that bad, but just keep an eye on it. Duplicate starts with 50% of its ult charge is fine. That's cool. It's a little bit different than either of the minor perks that we have now. They changed both of those out. This one, full salvo, is the exact same, but the projectiles do the exact same damage. So keep an eye on tank damage with this one. This one's going to be a much more tank damage focused one. This one's going to be a much more die focused one, which might be better because of Focus Rush. Keep an eye on both of those. But yeah, TLDR is Echo got a significant buff. Ramattra, this one was just really interesting in a bad way. Again, I'm being so negative here. Relentless Form. While Nemesis Form is active, eliminations extend the duration by 1 second. Have that during Annihilation. Essentially, getting an elimination extends your Nemesis Form. I don't even need to demonstrate this one to tell you why it's kind of a cruddy, lame thing. Nemesis Form in Ramattra is already everything that the character revolves around. Extending and rewarding more kill threat it's not enough to justify the block value that he gets. Now, this will be coincided, like, we're focusing on the armor bug right now. Even without the armor bug that we have right now, this is still probably not really worth it all that much, and leans into the thing that is already too strong for him. The other thing here is that this perk is, like, fine, I guess, okay. But the funny thing is that we're complaining about it, but it's still not going to get picked. This is just better. Like, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that Void Surge is going to be better almost 100% of the time. It does not require to get you an elimination to extend your form, and it's just consistent, constant value. It's more damage. It's been good. It will continue to be good. And I'm glad that they replaced the shield perk. That one wasn't as popular as good, but this is just going to be better. I would have much rather preferred that they'd actually done the shield perk leaning into what the Ramattra needs, which I think is a much lower cooldown on shield with a much lower HP on shield, so you have a more frequent but squishy shield. That would have made a much more sense as a minor perk and been a lot more thoughtful, but I don't like this perk, and it's not going to be picked. I'm sure lower ranked players will pick this one, but I'm telling you, people are still going to be picking Void Surge in higher ranks, and that's just kind of a bummer. Now, Ana goes crazy. Enemies waking up from sleep dart or so they kept groggy. That sucks. I'm bummed. Whatever. But the good news for you Wrecking Ball players out there is that if you're the honest picking groggy, she might be throwing, because Speed Seer might be the sexiest new thing that we have here, because Nano Boost grants a 40% movement speed to both Ana and her target. This replaces double Nano, which I'm glad that they've replaced it. But they gave him a 40% movement speed. This is going to be insane. I'm not being super negative about this one because it's going to be insane. But this is have huge ramifications for what I'm sure some pro teams are going to try toying with this one. Keep an eye on this one. This is nutso. Nano boosted Winston, Genji, Ryan, Reaper obviously is the first thing, but also this applies to Ana as well for defensive purposes. So just keep an eye on that one there. Okay. Biotic bounce. Biotic bounce means another 60 damage on healing. So they buffed Biotic Grenade, but they moved it to major. This is going to be really good for duels, but they've kept Headhunter for range. So I guess if you're getting Dove, this is good. So yeah, Ana perks are pretty spicy. You need to keep an eye on these. This is going to change some breakpoints here because I don't remember exactly what Nade does on direct damage, but I swear that's going to shake some breakpoints. So maybe someone in the comments can clarify for me. Moira, Coalescence can be toggled between pure healing or pure damage with 25% greater effect. Keep an eye on that one as well. That one's pretty interesting. Ethical Nourishment is basically the same version of the perk that we had, but it's instead of the major, it's now a minor, and it has been nerfed accordingly. That perk's fine. This one is cool though. Phantom Step is basically both mobility cooldowns combined. So Fade lasts a little bit longer and boosts jump height. And I believe Custa said that you can actually cancel the Fade manually now. So this one's going to be really good when you want to move around. And Reversal is basically, it's exactly what you think it is. You press the button again and it reverses its direction, including any bounces that it's did. So it's, I mean, these are both pretty spicy, actually. So these deserve a lot of playtesting. And actually, it's actually not too shabby for a Moira perk. So keep an eye on that one. Yeah, we need to, okay, the Junkerqueen ones, let's jump to the good one here, the Willy Willy. When recalling Jagged Blade, its radius is increased by 100% and it deals 30 additional impact damage. This is pretty good for range stuff. You miss your knife, you're still doing some range pressure. If it hits anybody, it's more likely to hit somebody. So you get some more chip damage, which basically contrasts with the more upfront value of Savage Satiation. It's okay. It's not a bad idea. We'll have to kind of wait and see how it works. I think it's perfectly okay. But the Rampant Charge one is a little interesting. Basically, you're unCCable when you're using your Rampage. And then you also refresh all of your cooldowns, including your Commanding Shout. So good luck. Commanding Rampage is now going to murder everybody. So that's going to be incredibly strong. Junkrat, Killing Blows with Concussion Mine restores one charge. So you get a Killing Blow with Mine. You get another charge back. Very, very strong for rollout kills and for 1v1s. Although you're going to have to choose that or Nitro Boost, which is really strong as well. And then the major is a little bit less attractive, which is Bon Voyage, which is after launching with Concussive Mine, Junkrat gains a 35% increased attack speed for 3 seconds. Not going to be quite as useful, I don't think. Maybe if you're using it on a tank, like if you're launching yourself into a tank, but part of the value of launching yourself with Bon Voyage is I don't know if you're going to be getting much value out of the attack speed while you're in midair. Ironically, I guess if you had a combination of Bon Voyage and Frag Cannon, which is a more accurate mine or grenade, maybe you could do it. But yeah, I don't see myself necessarily using this one, but I do see myself experimenting with it. But that's because there's probably a strategy that we haven't really fully explored yet. I'll touch quickly on the Wuyang ones. Basically, you get more ammo and more healing resource while you're using your Surf, which gives it a little bit more applicable use, but not great. Balance just gives you more healing, passive heal off of your damage on whatever target that you have orbed. Guardian Wave, which is your wave, rewinds to its starting location, deals 50% decreased damage while rewinding, but I don't think it deals decreased healing. I haven't tested this, so this could be really good at 1v1s and close range. Think like anti-nade bounce kind of a thing, right? And then Falling Rain is just basically you have a shotgun orb, which deals only a little bit more damage than I think it's like 20% more damage than the original orb, but it's really good if you're just shooting fat targets or you're like 1v1 people up close in your face. So overall, I mean, I think like there's a lot of good things to say about yesterday. Some of the perk choices definitely had some thought put into them, and there's going to be a lot of fun things to test. And honestly, like balance or not, there's fun new things. And maybe I'm too distracted by shiny things here, but I encourage you guys to try out Wuyang. I'm going to get the sweatshirt off as fast as I possibly can, and I'll see you guys next week.